Welcome to our latest Wandering Walks of Wonder adventure. Today we're headed up to Dearborn, Michigan for our first of our three-part tour of Greenfield Village. Greenfield Village is a historical village and outdoor museum that is part of the Henry Ford, a large indoor and outdoor history museum. The village was established by Henry Ford, the founder of the Ford Motor Company, in 1929. The purpose of Greenfield Village is to preserve and showcase examples of American life and innovation from the late 17th through the 19th centuries. This particular part of the video that we're going to see will cover aspects of the lives of Henry Ford, the Wright brothers, as well as Thomas Edison. In fact, the first building that we're going to be going through is a farmhouse that was once the home and birthplace of Henry Ford. This farmhouse was the birthplace of Henry Ford, who was born on July 30th, 1863. Ford spent his formative years in this house, leaving at the age of 16 to seek employment in Detroit. In 1919, he undertook the restoration of this farmhouse, and in 1944, it was relocated here to Greenfield Village as part of Henry Ford's efforts to preserve and showcase significant elements of American history. This particular home is just one of 80 buildings that we'll see on the first of these three videos that we're doing. We'll also be taking a look at such things as the Wright Brothers Bicycle Shop, Thomas Edison's Menlo Park Laboratory, a courthouse where Abraham Lincoln practiced law, and much more.
To have them reproduced, have his mother's dishes reproduced. We do not know.
A pocket watch would be a big gift. So, that's what we have going on today. We're losing the battle with the animals and our garden.
We'll continue on with our tour looking at the life of Henry Ford as well as the innovations that he had, one of those being the Model T car. This first building we see on our left is a building that was erected in honor of Edsel Ford in 1943. This model, or this home, was inspired by a workshop that the father and son had once shared above the garage at their family home in Detroit's Boston Edison neighborhood. This building that we're going through now was once a converted storage shed that Henry Ford had behind its family's rented duplex at 58 Bagley Avenue in Detroit, and he used this as a workshop. It was in this space back in 1896 that he constructed his inaugural automobile known as the quadricycle. In 1933, Ford reconstructed the shed here in Greenfield Village. The next larger building that we're going into is a replica of Henry Ford's third automobile company that has found its way here in this home. It was once a former wagon factory that was located in Detroit's Mack Avenue. In this facility, Ford's modest team assembled Model A cars using components produced elsewhere. After a brief 18 months, the growing Ford Motor Company relocated to a more extensive facility on Piquette Avenue. The building that we're looking at is a replica. It's about 1/4 the size of the original Mack Avenue plant, but it offers a glimpse into the early stages of Ford's automobile ventures. As you leave the replica of the Detroit's Mack Avenue plant, You can see where people can hop on a ride and ride inside a true vintage Ford Model T. It was the car that swept the world. At the age of 9, Henry Ford enrolled in Miller School, where he followed his favorite teacher, John Chapman, from the Scotch Settlement School. This small one-room building was representative of the rural schools prevalent throughout the United States in the 1800s. In the early 1940s, Ford had a replica of this school constructed in Greenfield Village, preserving the educational environment that played a role in his early years. This replica stands as a testament to the humble beginnings of one of America's most influential industrialists. One of probably the most historical buildings that we see on site here in Greenfield Village is the Wright Brothers Cycle Shop. This is actually truly the Wright Brothers Cycle Shop that was once in Dayton, Ohio. And this is the building where the Wright brothers came up with some of the design elements for the first airplane. It was inside this building that Wilbur and Orville Wright conducted their bicycle business from 1897 to 1908. In addition to selling and repairing bicycles, the Wright brothers used this shop as a workplace for building their early flying machines. It was in this very building, this exact building, that they crafted the 1903 Flyer, marking the first successful heavier-than-air powered and controlled aircraft in history. This site stands as a testament to the intersection of not only their bicycle business, but their pioneering work in aviation, and showcases the remarkable achievements of the Wright brothers.
Visit in the house. Say hi to the family. Thank you. Thank you. Hi there.
Despite the Wright family's nomadic lifestyle, brothers Wilbur and Orville considered this house that once stood at 7th Hawthorne Street in Dayton, Ohio, to be their true home. Orville's birthplace in 1871 and the residence where Wilbur passed away in 1912, this house held special significance for the Wright brothers. It was in these walls that the brothers embarked on their serious studies in aviation, ultimately resulting in the development of the successful 1903 Flyer. This home serves as a symbolic cornerstone in the Wright brothers' personal as well as professional journey, embodying the origins of their groundbreaking achievements in aviation.
What furniture they sat on to argue about how to make an airplane? Now, it is a large family. You do have mom and dad. You have 4 brothers and a sister, Rushlin, Lauren, Wilbur, Orville, and then the baby of the family, Catherine. Now, this is a time period where you're the woman of the house. That's usually mom. You have to do all the work, cooking, cleaning, laundry, mending. Then, girls, this is a time where
This millinery store that we see in front of us here is representative of specialized retail stores that were around the late 19th century. Stores such as these held a variety of shops that offered fancy goods, groceries, dry goods, as well as flour and feed.
Actually, you're right. She's not alone. She's got lots of people.
The building right next door once belonged to Henry J. Heinz, as in Heinz 57 ketchup. The industrious Henry J. Heinz initiated his prosperous business journey by bottling horseradish in the basement of his parents' residence in Sharpsburg, Pennsylvania. Operating from this house, he expanded his offerings to include a diverse range of pickles and relishes, selling them to local neighbors. As his enterprise flourished, Heinz eventually relocated his operations to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Presently, as we can see as we walk through the inside of the house, is an exhibition space that showcases the innovative business practices as well as the remarkable marketing techniques employed by the H.J. Heinz Company. It offers insights into the early stages of the renowned condiment and food processing business.
Yeah, they have a can up in there. Can from the vintage of the war.
Now that's a good sized camera.
Yeah, it's little. We're now heading into the Thomas Edison portion of Greenfield Village, and we start with this larger-than-life statue that Henry Ford had commissioned in 1930 for his friend as well as idol, Thomas Edison. This building we see here in front of us was constructed in 1825 in northeastern Connecticut, and it's known as the Phoenixville Post Office. But it was more than just a mail center. It was a place where community met and often came together to engage in conversations about local events and news. We're now heading into many of the original buildings that Thomas Edison used in Menlo Park, New Jersey to do some of his most famous innovations like electric bulb, electricity, and much phonograph, and much, much more. This first building is very significant as that the prosperity of Menlo Park and the work that Thomas Edison did owed much of its existence to this machine shop and the expertise of its foreman, John Crucy. I hope I'm saying that right, K-R-U-E-S-I. This fully equipped facility, constructed to replace the initial small machine shop that was once housed inside the laboratory that we'll see here in just a minute, played a pivotal role in the achievements of Edison and his associates. Its presence allowed for the swift prototyping of experimental devices and facilitated the efficient as well as profitable manufacturing of many of Edison's innovations. Under the guidance of Crucy, the machine shop at Menlo Park became a vital component of Edison's innovative process, and it contributed significantly to the success of numerous technological developments. When Thomas Edison moved his operations and innovation to Menlo Park, New Jersey in the spring of 1876, this laboratory building housed his entire operation. Within its walls were a small team of collaborators, an office, a library, a machine shop, as well as upstairs that will see the laboratory itself. Despite the expansion of Edison's investigations over time, the complex grew around this building. It remained dedicated to experimental activities and was consistently recognized as the heart and center of Edison's enterprise. The laboratory at Menlo Park served as the nucleus from which Edison's inventive endeavors as well as technological innovations emanated.
Right, and later on, that would come into play in use once they had a mechanical motor on it. But this time, but that's a very good intuitive leap based on what we know today. Back then, all of this was brand new, and no one had ever done anything like that before, so they still yet had to develop where you came from. And that was very good automatic thinking on your part. Very good. All right, so I rewound it.
Plunge battery here, and they're going to write it. It'll puncture little holes into the paper while they're writing, and then when you're done to make a recording, you lift this up, put a sheet of paper underneath, run across it with an ink roller and skull full of ink, and it would drip through those holes that you punctured with your electric pen into the paper, and you have a copy of what was ever made. You could do that 5,000 times to make copies of anything you want. So this is great having a device for copies in business. Thanks for coming in, guys. Appreciate your welcome.
All right, I'm moving it off of the last recording. I tighten it down. When I record, I use a little megaphone and I shout as loud as I can, hoping for a good impression. When I play it back, I use a bigger megaphone.
The building that we see in front of us was once part of Edison's Menlo Park Library, as well as his more formal office. This building was constructed in 1878, and it served as a pivotal expansion for Edison's work on electrical lighting. The first floor was dedicated to office space, accommodating functions such as accounting, bookkeeping, and patent applications. Upstairs, a well-stocked technical library provided valuable resources for Edison and his team. But beyond its practical functions, the building played a crucial role as a reception area for journalists and other visitors. It served as a disarming introduction, offering a first impression of Edison's success and ambition to those who entered this building. This building not only supported the practical aspects of Edison's work, but it also contributed to shaping perceptions of his achievements and the scale of his endeavors.
Go down?
Yeah, me and him are the only ones playing over your game.
The Menlo Park complex operated as an all-male environment, with the closest everyday involvement of women occurring at the Sarah Jordan boarding house that we see here on our left and that we'll soon enter. Despite Edison and some of his personnel being married, the boarding house managed by Sarah Jordan, who was a distant relative of Edison's, provided room and board for unmarried employees at the complex. Beyond serving as a residence, the house played a significant role in hosting the experimental lighting system that was once installed throughout Menlo Park. The Sarah Jordan boarding house became not only a hub for providing accommodation, but also for supporting the community and experiments at the heart of Edison's inventive activities. This last building that we're about to enter was once Thomas Edison's Fort Myers laboratory. This laboratory was used by Edison in the Fort Myers area of Florida and was used for botanical research, especially the development of domestic sources of natural rubber. The interest arose from concerns about the United States' reliance on foreign rubber during World War I. Edison worked closely with his friend Henry Ford on the rubber research project. Ford was interested in developing a domestic source of rubber for his automotive tires. It was also a place where Edison, as well as Ford, would often escape the cold northern climates. Edison and his wife spent many of their winters in Fort Myers and contributed to the local community.
Before Edison had found a way to mechanically extract the latex. In 1928, Ford moved the Fort Myers laboratory to Greenfield Village and built Edison.
I hope you've enjoyed part one of our Wandering Walks of Wonder through Greenfield Village and exploring the lives of Henry Ford, the Wright brothers, as well as Thomas Edison. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure you hit subscribe so that you can see the upcoming parts for this video. Take care now. Bye-bye.